So this is the plan. Um, I am going to kill the fake dream that I don't want and that I never really wanted, but I just kind of like wanted the money. Um, but it would have traded all like soul and independence, and it's not what I want, man. I don't want to, because it's easy to tell yourself that you can just work a job and do like your dream in your off time. But fuck, dude, after like 8 to 10 hours of working, those 8 to 10 hours that you're working is your life. The other 2/3 is most of the time just spent preparing for that 8 hours. 8 hours of it is sleeping, and then like 2 hours of it is preparing to go to work and then coming back from work. And then you have like 6 more hours to like do everything else that you need to do in your normal life, like clean, do whatever, cook, eat, and then maybe like 2 to 3 hours a day after you've done everything is when you get to, in that scenario, is when you get to work on what you actually want to do. And then you're drained and you're not like creative. You've already like spent all your energy. I don't think you're going to get anything done like that. So I'm not going to do that. I don't want to, where's the balls in that, man? Where's the balls in taking the safe path that it guarantees it doesn't even guarantee something good. It guarantees you to be 50 to 60,000, like in my scenario, at least for a while. It would have guaranteed like after like years of like experience and everything, I probably could have gotten 100K. I probably could have gotten that, but where's the balls? Where's the adventure? Where's the story? And what's your story going to be when you're 80 years old and you're trying to tell stories to your grandkids, or your children ask you for advice? You're not going to have any experience. You're just going to, if you're working for someone else, it's like, where's the adventure? Where's the story in that? No one's ever going to write a story about you. You're not going to like be significant if you do what everyone else does. I think that you should be reinventing yourself, every year, every 6 months. Maybe not that often. But I don't think that you should be stagnant in your life. I don't think that you should, peak in high school and then just like stay the same person and never learn. If you think about it like a tree, right? A tree does the most growing when it's the youngest. So there's, the tree is born. Let's put that at the top. The tree is born. And then the tree matures and grows. And then when it reaches full maturity, it stagnates. And then it starts to die. Once you reach full maturity, if you're no longer growing, you do start dying. I was watching a long time ago, like a YouTube short by Mike O'Hearn. And basically what he said is that there is no coasting in life. You are either growing and learning and improving, or you are dying and you are decaying and you are stagnating. There is no such thing as just, I guess, I wouldn't say stagnating, because stagnating implies no change. But he said that you are either growing or you are dying, and I think that's true. If you just stay the same person after high school, or for like 20 years, or for however long your life is, if you never change, you're never able to grow past the limits of the box of your personality or of your life that you originally constructed. You have to break that down in order for it to be built back bigger. It's like a muscle, man. It's like you have to break down the muscle, and it's painful. And maybe this analogy is whatever. But you have to break down the muscle. It's painful, but then it grows. It grows back, and it grows back stronger. You can't just, you can't just, I don't want to stagnate, man. I don't want to wait 20 years for a retirement. I don't want to work 20 years for doing something I don't want. No. I don't want to do it, man. I'm not going to do it. I'm not fucking leaving. All right, I wrote down a little philosophy, if you will. You should be evolving throughout your life. You have a small window of opportunity in your life. If you're a man, probably 16 to 35 about. During this period, this is your time. There's a small, but a window of opportunity where you make the majority of change and progress in your life happen. Past that point, past that window of opportunity, 16 to 35 maybe, or 18 to 30, whatever you want to call it. The window is closed, and it's harder to grow. If you think about it like a tree, there's a window of opportunity where during the first few years, there's a specific point in a tree's life where the most growth happens. The first year, it's like rapid growth. The second year, again, rapid. And then the third is a little smaller. The fourth, a little smaller. And then it just kind of like tapers off until each ring becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So if you take the safe path, if you spend this time of rapid growth on taking the safe path, you're just locking yourself in to that path that you don't actually want. And by the time you decide, hey, wait a minute, I'm comfortable, I'm good, I'm 29, I have a good house, I'm financially secure. Of course, it's still possible to change your life, but that your window, you have a little bit of time left in that situation, you do. But it's harder to break out of the mold that you set for yourself, and the rings of growth are becoming ever smaller and smaller and smaller. And before, what I was thinking was that I would take the safe path for a while and then eventually, get to what I wanted to do later. But I think that's what most people do, and then they never get to it. I don't know if I would get to it if I took the safe path, because then also, if you're secure and you're thinking of are you really going to jump to something unsecure, like a business or social media or entrepreneurship or whatever? Are you really going to jump from something that's secure to something that's unsecure and risk this life that you have already built? I don't know if I would actually do that if I had so much more to lose, or if I had a family. I don't have a family or a wife or anything like that to support right now. I can kind of just, I have a job that I have to do, but I can kind of just do whatever really right now in my life. You don't have much responsibility. You can kind of, even if the worst, if I became homeless, oh man, it would suck. But if I was gonna die out on the street, I could probably just go back and live with my parents, even though I'm not gonna do that. This is why accepting a mediocre life is a mistake if you have things if you don't want it. If you want to, when you're young, have a family and build that, then that's awesome. If you are cool with just going into work and then going home and spending time with your family, that's awesome. That's just not the situation that I'm in. And I think that if you don't want that, then doing it because everyone else tells you it's what you should do is a mistake. My entire life, I feel like I've had very little, like no personal, no personal integrity, or no, I've just been doing what other people want me to do. Like I haven't put myself first for not everything, but I feel like I listen to other people more than I listen to myself. And I need to change that. I am changing it. The longer you play it safe, the more you are set like concrete into what you don't want to be. So when you first pour concrete, it's fluid, but the longer as time goes on, it kind of starts to set. And the longer that you spend doing what you don't want as you get older, I don't know, I'm not a brain doctor, but your neuroplasticity in your mind reduces. You know, you might have more responsibilities, you're older, so you have like less time to kind of make something happen. If you never destroy the current version of you and you kind of stagnate, or you start the process of decaying in the change cycle, if you only try to add on to this life, if you only try to improve from what your current self is, like go to bed earlier, or read 10 pages a day, or like go for a morning run, all these things, like take cold showers, breathe through your nose strips, just like typical self-improvement stuff. Yes, this is good for you, but it's also like people have said it's also just masturbation, because you're not actually, what about your life is changing? Like, does each thing make you feel like 0.1% better, and that's enough for you? You're not doing the thing that would actually move the needle the most, which is to let go of what you have, to let go of the life that you are stuck in, to accept the next cycle of self-destruction, to then eventually go through that pain and then get to the rebirth, and to be someone new, to have a new life, to be a new person. But trying to improve forever would just be like a hard, dead tree trying to grow even taller. The tree has to come down to make way for the next tree. The old you has to be given up to make way for the next, better you. Eventually, the death of the individual person makes way for the next generation to come in and grow and take up that space. Without death, without change, birth or rebirth of your personality is not possible. If you haven't changed for a long time, if you feel stagnant, the pain that you are avoiding is the relief to the quiet desperation, the quiet pain that you are feeling every day about not actually going for what you want. Besides, everything is temporary anyway. And if you want to improve, you have to be willing to let go of what you have now and go through the pain of change. It is only when the tree decides it is done growing that it begins the process of dying. So, for your own personal development, for the personal development, birth and death, it's only when you decide that you're done growing that you start dying. The person who's done growing at 18 after high school, that's when they begin dying. That's when they stagnate and they decay, personality-wise, and they wither away. You need to change. You need to continue the cycle of changing throughout your life. You have a new self. You go through self-improvement. You reach, personality maturity, and then you reassess. You self-destruct. Become like you have to be able to give up what you have in order to then self-destruct. destroy your current self. It's only when we have lost everything that we're free to do anything. If you're trying to hold on to what you have, if you're trying to, save your own skin, if you're not willing to lose what you have, then what you are losing is the opportunity cost for the life that you could have had. It's only when the tree decides it is done growing that it begins the process of dying. But the tree cannot both decide that it is done growing and that it does not want to die. You can't be stagnant. There is no such thing as stagnation. You can't both not want to grow and not want to die. You will be doing one or the other. And if you don't know which one you are probably dying, because it's so much easier than growing. Growing is painful in the moment, but it feels great when you've done it. Dying feels great in the moment, but it feels terrible outside of the moment, in the back of your mind every day. On a Sunday, when you have to go back to the job that you don't actually want, or when you stop distracting yourself with video games or your phone or alcohol. Okay. This is what I am doing. I'm gonna go after what I actually want to do in life and not just take a job that I don't want because it's there or it's like simple or whatever. For whatever reason, I'm gonna go after what I actually want. If you're watching this video and you're just kind of like going through the motions of life, I would implore you to take a step back from your own life and put down the phone and put down everything and just sit in silence and think about your life and think about what you're doing and think about if you've just been coasting for the last few years, or if you are really doing what you want to do, or if you're just like living a substitute life, like doing something as a substitute of what you really want. Because it's so hard to get caught up in it's so easy to get caught up in the normal like dogma of, and of course this is good advice for people because reality can be terrible, and poverty is real, and people have survived for generations by taking the safe path so that they can then have kids and the generations continue. But I don't want to just be a foundation for the next generation. I don't want to sacrifice my life for security for the next generation. There's other people to do that, right? Humanity is not going to go out of business if I'm 90 years old and I failed my entire life, which I don't think is possible that I could do. I think I am 110% in on what I want to do. I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to recede back to what I was previously planning to do. So if this video can help you at all to analyze your own life, I would implore you to do some self-analysis and decide if what you are doing is really what you want to do. Because it's very easy to fall asleep in your life and just kind of coast by. Why not just do what you want to do, man? What's the worst that could happen? If you just, even if you fail, at least you've progressed. At least you have progressed if you fail. You can't both fail if you try and you fail, you have progressed. If you put in effort towards what you want to do, then you progress at it. Whereas if you put in progress towards what you don't want to do and you never fail, what did you really learn if you never failed? If you were never tested hard enough, or if you were never challenged to where you could possibly fail, if it was so easy that you never failed. And of course, I'm not saying, like I mentioned college earlier, college is hard. But how hard can it really be if everyone is doing it? How hard can it really be if everyone is doing it? You want to know what's hard? What's hard is putting that aside. This is such a, excuse me, but what's hard is putting other people's expectations of you aside to go after what you really want and to be selfish enough in your life, because this is your life. This is not someone else's life. You have to be selfish. To be selfish enough to go after what you actually want, maybe to disappoint your parents for a few years, or to, kind of to eat shit and, not be the 23-year-old, 24-year-old recent college graduate with a 6-figure job. There will be people in your school or from your town that do that, and they are going to, when you're 25, I'm 22, but when I'm 25, there are going to be people doing better than me. If I failed for 3 years, then at that point, there would be 25-year-olds doing far better than I was. But I don't think that I think on the long term, doing what you actually want to do. What else is there? Tom Platz. Tom Platz is one of my favorite philosophers, bodybuilders. He said, if you give up on your dreams, what have you got left? Nothing. If you give up on your dreams, you got nothing left. What are you living for? Just to work for someone else and to be hopefully satiated and entertained in your off time? What are you living for? If you give up on your dreams, what else is there? So even if I'm going for what I want, and even if I fail, even if I, fall on my face, if I make a fool out of myself, like it sometimes feels with these videos, even if I fail, what else is there than to do what I actually want to do? If the alternative is to give up on my dreams, then I'll just keep failing. I would rather just look like a fool. It's like in Kung Fu Panda, when the teacher is just dogging on him and just making him feel terrible. You don't go back, because then you just would be the person that you were before, and you don't want to be that. So you just keep going. There is no alternative, And if I just stayed in the same place for 20 years, if I never had the balls to go after what I want and to actually do what I want and to be selfish enough, if you're not living for yourself, you're living for someone else, man. I don't want to live for someone else. Yeah. So I'm just going to go after what I want. We'll see how it goes.